Hi, I'm Zeldasmatic, and this is my general breeding guide. I will assume you know next to nothing about Pokemon breeding, so I'll go over the basics really quickly. When on the internet, never give the benefit of the doubt. Step 1. Talk to the daycare lady behind the counter and leave 2 compatible Pokemon with her. Don't know what compatible Pokemon are? I'll cover that in just a minute. Bike or walk around until the daycare man outside turns to face the road. Talk to him with an empty slot in your party and pick up the egg. Then you just bike or walk around until your egg hatches. This is the simplest way to breed Pokemon, but there is much more to it. There are rules for what parents will actually produce an egg. First and foremost, Pokemon that have a gender can only breed with Pokemon of the opposite gender. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Second, Pokemon can only breed within their own species, evolutionary line, egg group, or with a Ditto. What are egg groups? I'll get to that. Thirdly, genderless Pokemon can only breed with Ditto. Legendary Pokemon aside from Manaphy can't breed at all. Manaphy is a special case. Breeding Manaphy with Ditto will result in a Phione egg, but Phione does not evolve into Manaphy. Ditto cannot breed with itself. It's really surprising how many people don't know this little tidbit, so I felt inclined to include it. As convenient as it would be to breed Dittos to make a Super Ditto, it doesn't work like that. And lastly, baby Pokemon like Riolu and Happiny cannot breed, for obvious reasons. You may notice certain Pokemon hatching more quickly than others. It's based on something called their egg cycle, a value assigned to the species that determines how relatively quickly or slowly it will hatch. But there are things you can do to quicken slow hatchers like Bagon or Dratini. Firstly, having a Pokemon in your party with the ability Flame Body or Magma Armor will halve the number of steps the egg requires to hatch. O-Powers were introduced in X and Y. There is a hatching O-Power that reduces the amount of steps it takes to hatch an egg, but it's very hard to get. There are some great guides out there detailing how to obtain it. Egg groups can be very confusing at first, and remember, Cerebi or Bulbapedia are your friends. Basically, Pokemon can breed outside of their species as long as they're in the same egg group. Some Pokemon are in more than one egg group. I used these 2 earlier as an example, and they belong to Human-like group and Water 1 group. If the Pokemon look similar and have the same type, they can probably breed, but there are always outliers, like Skitty and Wailord. Yep. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, that's cool and all, but how can I tell what's going to hatch out of my egg once I get it? Here are some simple guidelines to remember. Aside from special exceptions, a baby Pokemon will always be the lowest evolution when it hatches. If you're breeding 2 different Pokemon with genders, the species of the baby Pokemon will always match the female. When breeding genderless Pokemon with a Ditto, the offspring will always match the non-Ditto parent. What's this, you say, about special exceptions? Some baby Pokemon won't hatch from an egg unless the parent is holding a certain item. For example, if you breed Roselia without holding anything, the offspring will be Roselia. But if you have Roselia hold a rose incense, Badu will hatch. Here's a list of all the incense and which baby Pokemon correspond with them. Okay, skip the lecture about eugenics and how it's bad. There are ways to control what kind of offspring hatches from an egg. There are egg moves, natures, abilities, and even individual values, which control stats. First, let's talk about egg moves. Egg moves are great because they can only be inherited from parents. In Pokemon X and Y, both male and female parents can pass down egg moves. That's fantastic. Some egg moves can even be tutored in Black 2 and White 2. You should always check if there's an egg move that you want before you start breeding. Next, there are natures. A Pokemon's nature can mean the difference between victory and defeat. In Pokemon X and Y, having a parent hold an Everstone has a 100% chance to pass its nature to the offspring. The gender of the parent doesn't matter. Abilities. A Pokemon's ability can make the world of a difference in its potential as a teammate. Take Gliscor, for example. It never really outclassed other walls until the introduction of its hidden ability Poison Heal. Now, this is where I've been getting the most grief. Starting in Pokemon X and Y, males with a hidden ability do pass their hidden abilities to offspring when breeding with a Ditto. Females can now pass their hidden abilities when breeding with a non-Ditto or Ditto. I've tried having a male and female hidden ability Pokemon in the daycare, but it didn't seem to change the frequency of hidden ability offspring. It was still about 50-50. Remember that in order to get an offspring with a hidden ability, one of the parents must have the hidden ability. Now we're at the fun part. Inheritance. Knowing how a Pokemon inherits its stats can give you quite an advantage when breeding for a strong teammate. Without any held items, parents will always pass down 3 random IVs to their offspring. If you want to pass down a specific stat, you can make the parent with the desired stat hold a power item that corresponds with that stat. In my example, I'm giving Buizel a power band so that the offspring will inherit its special defense stat. In Pokemon X and Y, this is guaranteed. Speaking of X and Y, there has been a big change in how breeding for IVs is accomplished. If a parent holds a Destiny Knot, 5 total random IVs will be inherited by the offspring from the parents instead of 3. There has been a lot of confusion surrounding the mechanics of this item, but I've tested it myself and it does not pass on 5 IVs from the parent that holds it to the offspring. This would make it ridiculously easy to obtain fully perfect IV'd Pokemon. Hey, thanks for watching. Feel free to ask me questions in the comment section. If you would like a more in-depth guide to breeding for IVs and natures, you should check out my other video. And keep in mind that some of this information is subject to change as we learn more about Pokemon X and Y. So forgive me if it's a little out of date later. You can follow me on Twitter at @ZeldasMatic.